I met a new parent yesterday, and she mentioned that she wants to consult me because her daughter uses a lot of peripheral vision and that she does hand flapping and she does walking on toes. So, these were the three main things. And I said, I want you to help me to stop these behaviors or to fix these behaviors. And I mean, earlier I used to feel, oh my God, this is what they're expecting me to do. How can I get there? And then I realized that, I need to educate this parent about why this behavior is happening and how do I help them to see that behavior from a different perspective so that they can help their child better. And that's what I want to share with you today. Because if a child is flapping hands, if a child is walking on toes, if the child is pacing, if the child is using a lot of peripheral vision or doing whatever, those are those so called self stimulatory behaviors. Stims are the child's way of regulating themselves. And I cannot take that away till I give them a mature way or an access to being able to regulate in a different manner. I hope what I'm trying to tell you makes sense. What I'm trying to convey is I cannot take away a behavior which is helping the child to regulate himself until I provide maturity so that the child doesn't need those behaviors to regulate and can use the higher, more regulated ways of coping with behaviors, coping with situation or the demands. So it looks and sounds very simple. The only thing that I'm trying to convey is I or no therapist can or should rather work on reducing or fixing the self stimulatory behaviors because we want our kids to look normal and we want to feel normal and we want to feel accepted and we want them to feel accepted. But that's how they are at that moment. Not that it would stay forever. That's how they are at that moment. And as we work with them, they would. The self stimulatory behaviors, the self organizing behaviors would get transformed. And they would have access to higher forms and more mature ways of coping with demands and stresses. And they would use the higher coping strategies. But I cannot expect them to be fixed right now using behavior modification or using any kind of a thing that makes them feel that, oh, it's done, it's fixed. I would like to assess and reflect and introspect. Why do I want that if it's helping my child? My child should look like any other child. My child should behave like any other child. Of course, that's what we want. But not at the cost of regulation. If those behaviors are helping him to regulate, I wouldn't want to take them away. I would provide a lot of sensory diet. I would provide and follow the exercises that are given by the therapist at home. And even while I follow the home program, even while I take my child to a therapy center, sometimes it takes time for me. Sometimes it takes time for the child to be able to move ahead and to move beyond those behaviors and to have a mature way of coping with stress or demands. But till they're happening, expecting them to be fixed or to be reduced or to be stopped by using behavioral techniques, it deprives the child of being his own self. Somehow, unknowingly, indirectly, I'm conveying to the child, I don't like you for being who you are. I want you to be different. Because if you are the way you are, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I would like to introspect on this. I'm not saying that I accept it and I passively stay with it, that it's going to stay like this forever. No, I'm not saying that. We work on it. But while we are working on it and while these behaviors are still continuing, I reduce the desperation on my part or the judgment from my part, or I choose to release the judgment that I receive from others who look at my kids differently. It's very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. I have also tried stopping those behaviors when I was a new therapist. But then when I realized this is what the child needs right now for coping, for managing the demands that are and the stressors that are there right now, it's okay. It's okay if it helps the child to regulate. If I accept it as a parent, I model it to others and they accept my child. They see my child as being unique and different. And it does not have to always stay that way. It will change as I provide exercises and strategies and techniques by which the child has a more mature brain and thus has a more mature pattern or a more mature coping strategies. I just wanted to share I cannot fix or reduce self stimulatory behaviors. Anybody, I mean, I see a lot of videos saying how to reduce self stimulatory behaviors. In fact, that's the title I want to give to this particular video of mine because that's not my goal. My goal is to help my child. My goal is first to accept my child where he is now and to help my child with resources within his own self so that he would have mature patterns to cope with stress. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.